After Stuart, what happened, I'll just give you the backstory on Clementine in case you don't know it, because you're dealing with her, you're thinking about her, which I really appreciate. I really love this kid. I love her very much, more I think than any of my other characters because she's so real to me. What happened was the Stuart books got canceled because our illustrator died. It was a hard time for me. I didn't think I could write again. I was just too new at it to be able to land on my feet. And so luckily my agent said, no, you are going to do this more. You're just going to come up with a new character. So I just, off the top of my head, luckily, I said, well, I'll write the opposite character. Stuart is a boy. He worries about nothing, and he worries about everything, and he shouldn't have. That was the thing. He didn't need to worry so much. It was really sad that he did. So I'll write of a girl who worries about nothing, and she should. And when I said that to myself, I just knew, yeah, I love this kid already. I could live with this kid in my head for a year, because that's what it takes. And so I looked around and I said, well, how am I going to get a kid who just sails through life causing all kinds of trauma, and yet she thinks, no, I'm doing fine. How do I get such a kid? And luckily, my own two children had just grown up, being that if I separated them and then put them together, there they were. Because my daughter had this tremendous confidence at the age of 8. She was just sailing through everything. She was the kid, we say in our family, I say that it was a really difficult birth because my daughter was born with a backpack on, and her homework was in it, and her pencils were sharpened. So my son, on the other hand, the backpack definition of my son, who came 2 years later, who is now, by the way, in LA, employed he's working on movies, he's doing special effects. I'm so proud and also so surprised. Sometimes, because here's who he is. He's the kid, the backpack definition of my son was, I look at him, this beautiful man, and I think, why don't you have a dent in your forehead? Because every single day of your life, you went, huh? My backpack? My homework? Huh? Like, it was news to him every day, and don't you have these kids in your class? It was news to him every day that he was responsible for these things, or that the two could ever connect again. Whoa, tomorrow homework in my backpack? Just always. So, and of course I adored these kids, but if you put them together, there's Clementine. So that was just a remarkable thing that happened. I was so lucky it happened. I think the real reason, I was lucky because I loved her so much, because so many things that my son did and went through, of course, tore my heart open. You know, he really struggled trying to make sense of a world that wants you to be more organized and less distractible than he is. But also, I think the wonderful thing is that I just made a literary decision that to have a child be this confident would mean that every adult in her life are really super on it. Every single adult in the Clementine world, her parents, her school people, just everybody, they are so present, so caring, so competent, so functional. These parents and these school people, they are just wonderful. So I think that has made, I think there just was a hole in children's lit. There was so much dysfunction out there to write about, which is really important to write about. But there had developed a gap of writing about a kid who is just thriving, and she's in a very supportive environment. And I thought, well, it's time to write about that, what it feels like to be in a sort of an average family, an average school system. Everybody's doing the best they can with really good hearts. And so I got very lucky that way, that there was a hole, I think, and Clementine filled it. I think that's probably, I have a lot of things to talk about writing and books, but I think what I'd like to do for as long as I have now is to take your directed questions. Or Meryl, do you want to start? Do you have some things you want me to talk about, to address right now? Do you have a question for me, or should we just open it up?
I think we can open it up.
Okay.
Well, Lori does.
Lori, yeah. And I'm going to meet with you guys too and talk more about the writing part.
Okay.
Is that right?
Well, I think this is it.
Oh, this is it.
Can you stay after?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, because I told Sarah she had to.
All right.
Okay, well then,
I'm gonna, if you're all here anyway, remind me, I'm gonna give you one writing tip. This is the best thing when I go in and talk to kids. This is the thing that gets the most response from the teachers and the kids, so remind me to talk about that.
I was interested in your process, but if you're going to tell us what your kids have done.
Well,
When you said, you would tell us that, when you said in the beginning, books are now content, is that what you said?
yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Well, I mean, when they're talked about in the market, less and less are they saying manuscript, and more they're saying content as it moves to electronic providers, electronic support. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I think luckily the children's world will be the last to go, because it's very hard to that book, that holding of it. I'll tell you what, I recently wrote a book for adults. And my first book for adults came out, and what I noticed so many differences, but one big difference is this. When I go to a signing and it's people coming up with my adult book to have it signed, they walk up like this and put it on the table. When I go to a signing where kids are buying books, they hold the book like this. The book, the physical book, is really important to them, and a content delivery system like a Kindle is just not going to do it for a while. For a while. Yeah.
I have a comment and then a question for you. My daughter and I listen to them on CD
Yes.
in the car, which I love. And
Yeah.
she has since gotten the books and
Yeah,
loves
yeah.
reading them.
Yeah.
But one thing I appreciated as an adult is that in the first book especially, it's really that she notices everything. I think the kid's not paying attention.
Right.
But they're paying attention to everything but what the teacher wants them to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And that for me was really good because I had a kid like that
Yeah.
that year. And I realized, that kid notices everything except this. So I have to redirect them. But it's not
Yeah.
a bad thing that they're
Yeah.
very observant in that other.
Right.
And then my other question is, and you don't have to share what the name is, but does broccoli, squash, cauliflower have a name?
He
in your
does.
head?
Yeah, he does.
But you don't have to share it if you don't want to.
Yeah. We talk about this, whether to share it or not. I didn't mean to keep it a secret so long, but the secret has become such a big deal to kids.
Right.
So the two things we're talking about, yeah, he does have a real name. It's the perfect one. These parents would have named their child this. Anyway, we talked about revealing it in the final book, possibly, which is number 7. But also, we've talked a couple of times about a movie, and I think maybe, and which I hope doesn't happen for about 10 years. And that might be a good time to reveal it, too. So I don't know yet when it will come out.
You probably did, but I love,
Yeah.
and I love the cat's moisturizer.
See, now that's a true thing. All the things in the book, by the way, my kids are always saying, Mom, get a grip. You're not that smart, get a grip. Or I won an award for humor, and I was very proud. And I said, see, I am funny. And they're like, Mom, get a grip. We were funny and you remembered. That's it. That's how that is. And it's kind of true. But every single thing in there is just stolen. I play Mr. Potato Head. Anyone old enough to remember when Mr. Potato Head was a blood sport? When they were made with real potatoes, and so they had nails to get the things in, and you were bleeding when you played. Well, anyway, I was. And I play Mr. Potato Head. I just take all these little random but true pieces and put them in. And my son knew of a little boy who thought that moisturizer was the most beautiful name in the world, named his cat Moisturizer. So I stole it.